the highlighted line. Nora.
Helen, bring in the lamp. Dear Dr. Rank, that was really horrid of you.
To have loved you as much as anyone else does, was that horrid?
No, but to go and tell me so, there was really no need.
What do you mean? Did you know? Nora, I think you answer me now.
Okay, I said next.
Maid enters and leaves. Go on.
Okay. Mrs. Helmer, tell me, had you any idea of this? No, this is.
Sorry, that's why you rang. That's why Dr. rang.
Oh, okay, sorry. Mrs. Helmer, tell me, had you any idea of this?
Oh, how do I know whether I had or whether I hadn't? I really can't tell you. To think you could be so clumsy, Dr. Rank. We were getting on so nicely.
Well, at all events, you know now that you can command me, body and soul. So won't you speak out?
After what happened?
I beg you to let me know what it is.
I can't tell you anything now.
Yes, yes. You mustn't punish me in that way. Let me have permission to do for you whatever a man may do.
You can do nothing for me now. Besides, I really don't need any help at all. You will find that the whole thing is merely a fancy on my part. It really is so. Of course it is. You're a nice sort of man, Dr. Rank. Don't you feel ashamed of yourself now the lamp has come?
Not a bit, but perhaps I had better go. Forever?
No, indeed you shall not. Of course you must come here just as before. You know very well, Torvald can't do without you.
Yes, but you?
Oh, I'm always tremendously pleased when you come.
It is just that put me on the wrong track. You are a riddle to me. I've often thought that you would almost as soon be in my company as in Helmer's.
Yes, you see, there are some people one loves best, and others whom one would almost always rather have as companions.
Yes, there is something in that.
When I was at home, of course I loved Papa best, but I always thought it tremendous fun if I could steal down into the maid's room because they never moralized at all and talked to each other about such entertaining things.
I see. It is their place I have taken.
Oh dear, nice Dr. Rank. I never meant that at all. But surely you can understand that being with Torvald is a little like being with Papa. Somebody taking the maid's role?
If you please, ma'am.
Oh.
Is there anything wrong?
No, not in the least. It is only something. It is my new dress.
What? Your dress is right there.
Oh yes, that one. But this is another. I ordered it. Torvald mustn't know about it.
Oh, then that was the great secret.
Of course, just go into him. He's sitting in the inner room. Keep him as long as...
Make your mind easy. I won't let him escape.
And he's standing waiting in the kitchen?
Yes, came up the back stairs.
But didn't you tell him no one was in?
Yes, but it was no good.
He won't go away?
No, he says he won't until he has seen you, ma'am.
Well, let him come in, but quietly. Helen, you mustn't say anything about it to anyone. It is a surprise for my husband.
Yes, ma'am. I quite understand.
This dreadful thing is going to happen. It will happen in spite of me. No, 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 it can't happen. It shan't happen. Speak low. My husband is at home. Waiting in the inner room. No, where am I?
Krogstad,
And where is it? Speak. Okay, no matter about that.
What do you want of me?
An explanation of something.
Make haste then. What is it?
I suppose that I have got my dismissal.
I couldn't prevent it, Mr. Krogstad. I fought as hard as I could on your side, but it was no good.
Does your husband love you so little then? He knows what I can expose you to, and yet he ventures?
How do you suppose that he has any knowledge of the sort?
I didn't suppose so at all. It would not be the least like our dear Torvald Helmer to show so much courage.
Mr. Krogstad, a little respect for my husband, please.
Certainly, all the respect he deserves. But since you have kept the matter so carefully to yourself, I make bold to suppose that you have a little clearer idea than you had yesterday of what it actually is that you have done.
More than you could ever teach me.
Yes, such a bad lawyer as I am.
What is it you want of me?
Only to see how you wear, Mrs. Helmer. I have been thinking about you all day long. A mere cashier, a quill driver, a man like me, even he has a little of what is called a feeling,
Show it then. Think of my little children.
Have you and your husband thought of mine? But never mind about that. I only wanted to tell you that you need not take this matter too seriously. In the first place, there will be no accusation made on my part.
No, of course not. I was sure of that.
The whole thing can be arranged amicably. There is no reason why anyone should know anything about it. It will remain a secret between us three.
My husband must never get to know anything about it.
How will you be able to prevent it? Am I to understand that you can pay the balance what is owing?
No, not just at present.
Or perhaps that you have some expedient for raising the money soon?
No expedient, I mean, to make use of.
Well, in any case, it would have been of no use to you now. If you stood there with ever so much money in your hand, I would never part with your bond.
Tell me, what purpose you mean to put it to?
I shall only preserve it, keep it in my possession. No one who is not concerned in the matter shall have the slightest hint of it. So that if the thought of it has driven you to any desperate resolution,
It has.
if you had it in your mind to run away from your home,
I had.
or even something worse,
How could you know that?
give up the idea.
How did you know I had thought of that?
Most of us think of that at first. I did too, but I hadn't the courage.
No more had I.
No, that's it, isn't it? You hadn't the courage either.
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Besides, it would have been a great piece of folly. Once the first storm at home is over, I have a letter for your husband in my pocket.
Telling him everything?
In as lenient a manner as I could possibly.
He mustn't get the letter. Tear it up. I will find some means of getting money.
Excuse me, Mrs. Helmer, but I think I told you just now.
I'm not speaking of what I owe you. Tell me what sum you're asking my husband for, and I will get you the money.
I'm not asking your husband for a penny.
What do you want then?
I will tell you. I want to rehabilitate myself, Mrs. Helmer. I want to get on. And in that, your husband must help me. For the last year and a half, I have not had a hand in anything dishonorable. Amid all that time, I have been struggling in the most restricted circumstances. I was content to work my way up step by step. Now I'm turned out, and I'm not going to be satisfied with merely being taken into favor again. I want to get on, I tell you. I want to get into the bank again in a higher position. Your husband must make a place for me.
That he will never do.
He will, I know him. He dare not protest. And as soon as I am in there again with him, then you will see. Within a year, I shall be the manager's right hand. It will be Niels Krogstad and not Torvald Helmer who manages the bank.
That's a thing you will never see.
Do you mean that you will?
I have the courage enough for it now.
Oh, you can't frighten me, a fine, spoiled lady like you.
You will see, you will see.
Under the ice, perhaps, down into the cold, coal black water, and then in the spring to float up to the surface, all horrible and unrecognizable with your hair fallen out.
You can't frighten me.
Nor you me. People don't do such things, Mrs. Helmer. Besides, what use would it be? I should have him completely in my power all the time. All the same.
Afterwards, when I'm no longer,
Have you forgotten that it is I who have the keeping of your reputation? Well, now I have warned you. Do not do anything foolish. When Helmer has had my letter, I shall expect a message from him. And be sure you remember that it is your husband himself who has forced me into such ways as this again. I will never forgive him for that. Goodbye, Mrs. Helmer.
he's going. He's not putting the letter in the box. Oh, no, no. That's impossible. What is that? He's standing outside. He's not going downstairs. Is he hesitating? Can he?
A letter drops into the box, then Krogstad's footsteps are heard until they die away as he goes downstairs. Nora utters a stifled cry, a short pause.
In the letterbox. There it lies. Torvald, there's no hope for us now.
Mrs. Lind comes in from the room on the left.
Yeah. There, I can't see anything more to mend now. Would you like to try it on?
Christine, come here.
What is the matter with you? You look so agitated.
Come here. Do you see that letter? There, look. You can see it through the glass in the letterbox.
Yes, I see it.
That letter is from Krogstad.
Nora, it was Krogstad who lent you the money.
Yes, and now Torvald will know all about it.
Believe me, Nora, that's the best thing for both of you.
You don't know it all. I forged a name.
Good heavens.
I only wanted to say this to you, Christine. You must be my witness.
Your witness? What do you mean? What am I to?
If I should go out of my mind, and it might easily happen,
Nora.
Or if anything else should happen to me, anything, for instance, that might prevent my being here.
Nora, you are quite out of your mind.
And if it should happen that there was someone who wanted to take all the responsibility, all the blame, you understand?
Yes. But how can you suppose?
Then you must be my witness that it is not true, Christine. I'm not out of my mind at all. I am in my right senses now. And I tell you, no one else has known anything about it. I alone did the whole thing. Remember that.
I will indeed. But I don't understand all this.
How should you understand it? A wonderful thing is going to happen.
A wonderful thing?
Yes, a wonderful thing. But it is so terrible, Christine. It mustn't happen. Not for all the world.
I'll go at once and see Krogstad.
No, don't go to him. He'll do you some harm.
There was a time when he would gladly do anything for my sake.
He?
Where does he live?
How should I know? Yes. But the letter.
Nora, Nora, oh, what's that? What do you want? Don't be so frightened. We're not coming in. You've locked the door. Are you trying on your dress?
Yes, that's it. I look so nice, Torvald.
I see. He lives at the corner here.
Yes, but it's of no use. It's hopeless. The letter is lying there in the box.
And your husband keeps the key?
Yes, always.
Croxted must ask for his letter back, unread. He must find some pretense.
But it is just at this time that Torvald generally...
You must delay him. Go in to him in the meantime. I will come back as soon as I can.
She goes out.
Torvald?
Well, may I venture at last to come into my own room again? Come along, Rank. Now you will see. But what is this?
What is what, dear?
Rank led me to expect a splendid transformation. Dr. Rank.
Sorry, I was on mute. I understand so, but evidently I was mistaken.
Yes, nobody is to have the chance of admiring me in my dress until tomorrow.
But my dear Nora, you look so worn out. Have you been practicing too much?
No, I haven't practiced at all.
But you will need to.
Yes, indeed, I shall, Torvald. But I can't get on a bit without you to help me. I've absolutely forgotten the whole thing.
Oh, we will soon work it up again.
Yes, help me, Torvald. Promise that you will. I'm so nervous about it. All the people. You must give yourself up to me entirely this evening, not the tiniest bit of business. You must even take a pen in your hand. Will you promise, Torvald, dear?
I promise. This evening, I will be wholly and absolutely at your service, you helpless little mortal. Ah, by the way, first of all, I'll just
What are you going to do there?
only see if any letters have come.
No, Torvald, don't do that.
Why not?
Torvald, please don't. There's nothing there.
Well, let me look. Nora plays the first bars of the tarantella. Helma stops. Aha.
Okay. I can't dance tomorrow if I don't practice with you.
Are you really so afraid of it, dear?
Yes, so dreadfully afraid of it. Let me practice at once. There's time now before we go to dinner. Sit down and play for me, Torvald dear. Criticize me and correct me as you play.
With great pleasure, if you wish me to. Sit down.
Now play for
Thanks.
me. I'm going to dance.
Helma plays and Nora dances. Rank stands by the piano and looks on. Slower, slower.
I can't do it any other way.
Not so violently, Nora.
This is the way.
No, that is not a bit right.
Didn't I tell you so?
Let me play for her.
Yes, do. I can correct her better then. Rank sits down at the piano and plays. Nora dances wildly. Helma has taken up a position beside the stove and during her dance gives her frequent instructions. She does not seem to hear him. Her hair comes down and falls over her shoulders. She pays no attention but goes on dancing. Enter Mrs. Lind.
Oh, standing as if spellbound in the doorway. Oh,
You don't have to say those comments.
okay.
Don't read what's in the paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah.
Such fun, Christine.
My dear darling Nora, you're dancing as if your life depended on it.
So it does.
Stop, Rank. This is sheer madness. Stop, I tell you. Rank stops playing and Nora suddenly stands still. I could never have believed it. You have forgotten everything I taught you.
There, you see.
You will want a lot of coaching.
Yes, you see how much I need it. You must coach me up to the last minute. Promise me that, Torvald.
You can depend on me.
You must not think of anything but me, either today or tomorrow. You mustn't open a single letter, not even open the letterbox.
Ah, you're still afraid of that fellow.
Yes, indeed, I am.
Nora, I can tell from your looks there's a letter from him lying there.
I don't know. I think there is, but you must not read anything of that kind now. Nothing horrid must come between us until this is all over.
You mustn't contradict her.
The child shall have her way, but tomorrow night, after you have danced,
Then you'll be free.
the maid appears. Dinner is served, ma'am.
We will have champagne, Helen.
Very good, ma'am. Exit. Hello, are we going to have a banquet?
Yes, a champagne banquet until the small hours. And a few macaroons, Helen. Lots, just for once.
Come, come, don't be so wild and nervous. Be my own little skylark, as you used.
Yes, dear, I will. But go in now, and you too, Dr. Rank. Christine, you must help me to do up my hair.
I suppose there is nothing. She's not expecting anything.
Far from it, my dear fellow. It is simply nothing more than this childish nervousness I was telling you of.
Well,
You go into the right-hand room.
well,
Gone out of town.
I could tell from your face.
He's coming home tomorrow evening. I wrote a note for him.
You should have let it alone. You must prevent nothing. After all, it is splendid to be waiting for a wonderful thing to happen.
What is that you are waiting for?
Oh, you won't understand. Go into them. I'll come in a moment.
Mrs. Lind goes into the dining room. Nora stands still to compose herself.
5 o'clock. 7 hours until midnight. And then 24 hours until the next midnight. Then the tarantella will be over. 24 and 7. 31 hours to live.
Where's my little skylark?
Here she is.
Right, end of Act 2, start of Act 3. All right. Akshinta, you can be the maid in this act. I'm sorry, I said yes and I kept reading the lines. Okay. Act 3, the same scene. The table has been placed in the middle of the stage with chairs around it. Dance music is heard in the room. Mrs. Lind is sitting at the table, idly turning over the leaves of a book. She tries to read, but does not seem to be able to collect her thoughts. Every now and then, she listens intently for a sound at the outer door.
Not yet, and the time is nearly up. If only he does not. Ah, there he is. Come in, there is no one here.
I found a note from you at home. What does this mean?
It is absolutely necessary that I should have a talk with you.
Really? And is it absolutely necessary that it should be here?
It is impossible where I live. There is no private entrance to my rooms. Come in, we are quite alone. The maid is asleep and the Helmers are at the dance upstairs.
Are the Helmers really at a dance tonight?
Yes, why not?
Certainly, why not?
Now, Niels, let's have a talk.
Can we two have anything to talk about?
We have a great deal to talk about.
I shouldn't have thought so.
No, you have never properly understood me.
Was there anything else to understand except that what was obvious to all the world, a heartless woman jilts a man when a more lucrative chance turns up?
Do you believe I am as absolutely heartless as all that? Do you believe that I did it with a light heart?
Didn't you?
Niels, did you really think that?
If it were, as you say, why did you write to me as you did at that time?
I could do nothing else. As I had to break with you, it was my duty also to put an end to all that you felt for me.
So that was it. And all this only for the sake of money?
You must not forget that I had a helpless mother and two little brothers. We couldn't wait for you, Nils. Your prospects seemed hopeless then.
That may be so, but you had no right to throw me over for anyone else's sake.
Indeed, I don't know. Many a time did I ask myself if I had the right to do it.
When I lost you, it was as if all the solid ground went from under my feet. Look at me now. I'm shipwrecked. I'm a shipwrecked man clinging to a bit of wreckage.
But help may be near.
It was near, but then you came and stood in my way.
Unintentionally, Nils. It was only today that I learned it was your place I was going to take in the bank.
I believe you if you say so, but now that you know it, are you not going to give it up to me?
No, because that would not benefit you in the least.
Oh, benefit. Benefit. I would have done it whether or not, whether or no.
I have learned to act prudently. Life and hard, bitter necessity have taught me that.
And life has taught me not to believe in fine speeches.
And life has taught you something very reasonable, but deeds you must believe in.
What do you mean by that?
You said you were like a shipwrecked man clinging to some wreckage.
I had good reason to say so.
Well, I am like a shipwrecked woman clinging to some wreckage. No one to mourn for, no one to care for.
It was your own choice.
There was no other choice then.
Well, what now?
Niels, how would it be if we two shipwrecked people could join forces?
What are you saying?
Two or the same piece of wreckage would stand a better chance than each on their own.
Christine,
What do you suppose brought me to town?
do you mean that you gave me a thought?
I could not endure life without work. All my life, as long as I can remember, I have worked, and it has been my greatest and my only pleasure. But now I'm quite alone in the world. My life is so dreadfully empty, and I feel so forsaken. There is not the least pleasure in working for oneself. Nils, give me someone and something to work for.
I don't trust that. It is nothing but a woman's overstrained sense of generosity that prompts you to make such an offer of yourself.
Have you ever noticed anything of the sort in me?
Could you really do it? Tell me, do you know all about my past life?
Yes.
And do you know what they think of me here?
You seem to me to imply that with me you might have been quite another man.
I'm certain of it.
Is it too late now?
Christine, are you saying this deliberately? Yes, I'm sure you are. I see it in your face. Have you really the courage then?
I want to be mother to someone, and your children need a mother. We do need each other. Nil, I have faith in your real character. I can dare anything together with you.
Thanks. Thanks, Christine. Now I shall find a way to clear myself in the eyes of the world. Ah, but I forgot.
Shh. The tarantella, go, go.
Why? What is it?
Do you hear them up there? When that is over, we may expect them back.
Yes, I will go, but it is all of no use. Of course, you're not aware what steps I have taken in the matter of the Helmers.
Yes, I know all about that.
And in spite of that, you have the courage to.
I understand very well to what lengths a man like you might be driven by despair.
If I could only undo what I have done.
You cannot. Your letter is lying in the letterbox now.
Are you sure of that?
Quite sure, but
Is that what it all means? That you want to save your friend at any cost? Tell me frankly, is that it?
Nil, a woman who has once sold herself for another's sake doesn't do it a second time.
I will ask for my letter back.
No, no, no.
Yes, of course I will. I will wait here until Helmer comes. I will tell him he must give me my letter back, that it only concerns my dismissal, that he is not to read it.
No, Nil, you must not recall your letter.
But tell me, wasn't it for that very purpose that you asked me to meet you here?
In my first moment of fright, it was. 24 hours have elapsed since then, and in that time, I have witnessed incredible things in this house. Elmer must know all about it. This unhappy secret must be disclosed. They must have a complete understanding between them, which is impossible with all this concealment and falsehood going on.
Very well, if you will take the responsibility. But there is one thing I can do in any case, and I shall do it at once.
You must be quick and go. The dance is over. We are not safe a moment longer.
I will wait for you below.
Yes, do. You must see me back to my door.
I have never had such an amazing piece of good fortune in my life.
Goes out the outer door. The door remains open.
What a difference! What a difference! Someone to work for and live for, a home to bring comfort into. That I will do, indeed. I wish they would be quick and come. Ah, there they are now. I must put on my things.
Helmer's and Nora's voices are heard outside. A key is turned, and Helmer brings Nora almost by force into the hall. She is in an Italian costume with a large black shawl. He is in evening dress and a black domino, which is flying open.
No, no, no. Don't take me in. I want to go upstairs again. I don't want to leave so early.
But, my dearest Nora,
Please, Torvald, dear. Please, please. Only an hour more.
not a single minute, my sweet Nora. You know that was our agreement. Come along into the room. You are catching cold standing there. He
Good
brings her
evening.
into the room.
Good evening.
Christine,
You here? So late, Mrs. Lind.
Yes, you must excuse me. I was so anxious to see Nora in her dress.
have you been sitting here waiting for me?
Yes, unfortunately, I came too late. You had already gone upstairs, and I thought I couldn't go away again without having seen you.
Yes, take a good look at her. I think she's worth looking at. Isn't she charming, Mrs. Lind?
Yes, indeed, she is.
Doesn't she look remarkably petty? Everyone thought so at the dance. But she's terribly self-willed, this sweet little person. What are we to do with her? You will hardly believe that I had almost to bring her away by force.
Torvald, you will repent not having me let me stay, even if it were for half an hour.
Listen to her, Mrs. Lind. She had danced her tarantella and it had been a tremendous success, as it deserved, although possibly the performance was a trifle too realistic. A little more so, I mean, than was strictly compatible with the limitations of art. But never mind about that. The chief thing is, she had made a success. She had made a tremendous success. Do you think I was going to let her remain there after that and spoil the effect? No, indeed. I took my charming little Capri maiden, a capricious little Capri maiden, I should say, on my arm, took one quick turn round the room, a curtsy on either side, and as they say in novels, the beautiful apparition disappeared. An exit ought always to be effective, Mrs. Lind. But that is what I cannot make Nora understand. Whew, this room is hot. Throws his hat. Hello. It's all dark in here. Oh, of course. Excuse me. Light some candles.
Well,
I have had a talk with him.
yes, and
Nora, you must tell your husband all about it.
I knew it.
You have nothing to be afraid of as far as Krogstad is concerned, but you must tell him.
I won't tell him.
Then the letter will.
Thank you, Christine. Now I know what I must do. Hush.
Well, yes.
Well, Mrs. Lind, have you admired her?
Yes, and now I will say good night.
What, already? Is this yours, this knitting?
Yes, thank you. I had very nearly forgotten it.
So you knit.
Of course.
Do you know you ought to embroider?
Really? Why?
Yes, it's far more becoming. Let me show you. You hold the embroidery thus in your left hand, and use the needle with the right, like this, with a long, easy sweep. Do you see?
Yes, perhaps.
But in the case of knitting, that can never be anything but ungraceful. Look here, the arms close together, the little needles going up and down. It has a sort of Chinese effect. That was really excellent champagne they gave us.
Well, good night, Nora, and don't be self-willed anymore.
That's right, Mrs. Lind.
Good night, Mr. Helmer.
Good night, good night. I hope you will get home all right. I should be very happy to, but you haven't any great distance to go. Good night, good night. She goes out, he shuts the door. At last we've got rid of her. She's a frightful bore, that woman.
Aren't you very tired, Torvald?
No, not in the least.
Nor sleepy?
Not a bit. On the contrary, I feel extraordinarily lively. And you? You really look both tired and sleepy.
Yes, I am very tired. I want to go to sleep at once.
There. You see, it was quite right of me not to let you stay there any longer.
Everything you do is quite right, Torvald.
Now my little skylark is speaking reasonably. Did you notice what good spirits Rank was in this evening?
Really? Was he? I didn't speak to him at all.
And I very little, but I have not for a long time seen him in such good form. It is delightful to be at home by ourselves again, to be all alone with you, you fascinating, charming little darling.
Don't look at me like that, Torvald.
Why shouldn't I look at my dearest treasure, at all the beauty that is mine, all my very own?
You mustn't say things like that to me tonight.
You've still got the tarantella in your blood, I see, and it makes you more captivating than ever. Listen, the guests are beginning to go now. Nora, soon the whole house will be quiet.
Yes, I hope so.
Yes, my own darling Nora. Do you know, when I'm out at a party with you like this, why I speak so little to you, keep away from you, and only send a stolen glance in your direction now and then? Do you know why I do that? It is because I make believe to myself that we are secretly in love, and you're my secretly promised bride, and that no one suspects there's anything between us.
Yes, yes. I know very well your thoughts are with me all the time.
And when we are leaving, and I'm putting the shawl over your beautiful young shoulders, on your lovely neck, then I imagine that you are my young bride, and that we have just come home from the wedding, and I'm bringing you for the first time into our home, to be alone with you for the first time, quite alone with my shy little darling. All this evening, I have longed for nothing but you. When I watched the seductive figures of the tarantella, my blood was on fire. I could endure it no longer. That was why I brought you down so early.
Go away, Torvald. You must let me go. I won't.
What's that? You're joking, my little Nora. You won't? You won't? Am I not your husband?
Did you hear?
Who is it? Dr. Rank. Dr. Rank. Dr. Rank. It is I. May I come in for a moment?
Sorry. It is I.
Oh.
May I come in for a moment?
Oh, what does he want now? Wait a minute. Come, that's kind of you not to pass by our door.
I thought I heard your voice and felt as if I should like to look in. Ah, yes, these dear familiar rooms. You're very happy and cozy in here, you too.
It seems to me that you looked after yourself pretty well upstairs too.
Excellently. Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't one enjoy everything in this world? At any rate, as much as one can, and as long as one can. The wine was capital.
Especially the champagne.
So you noticed that too. It was almost incredible how much I managed to put away.
Torvald drank a great deal of champagne tonight, too.
Did he?
Yes, and he's always in such good spirits afterwards.
Well, why should one not enjoy a merry evening after a well-spent day?
Well spent. I'm afraid I can't take credit for that.
But I can, you
Nothing more
know.
back.
Dr. Rank, you must have been occupied with some scientific investigation today.
Exactly.
Just listen. Little Nora talking about scientific investigations.
And may I congratulate you on the result?
Indeed, you may.
Was it favorable then?
The best possible for both doctor and patient. Certainty.
Certainty?
Absolute certainty. So wasn't I entitled to make a merry evening of it after all? After that?
Yes, you certainly were, Dr. Rank.
I think so too, so long as you don't have to pay for it in the morning.
Oh, well, one can't have anything in this life without paying for it.
Dr. Rank, are you fond of fancy dress balls?
Yes, if there is a fine lot of pretty costumes.
Tell me, what shall we two wear at the next?
Little featherbrain, are you thinking of the next already?
Me too? Yes, I can tell you. You should go as a good fairy.
Yes, but what do you suggest as an appropriate costume for that?
Let your wife go dressed just as she is in everyday life.
That was really very prettily turned, but can't you tell us what you will be?
Yes, my dear friend, I have quite made up my mind about that.
Well,
At the next fancy dress ball, I shall be invisible.
that's a good joke.
There is a big black hat. Have you never heard of hats that make you invisible? If you put one on, no one can see you.
Yes, you're quite right.
But I'm clean forgetting what I came for. Helma, give me a cigar, one of the dark Havanas.
With the greatest pleasure.
Thanks.
Let me give you a light.
Thank you. And now, goodbye.
Goodbye, goodbye, dear old man.
Sleep well, Dr. Rank.
Thank you for that wish.
Wish me the same.
You? Well, if you want me to sleep well. And thanks for the lights.
He nods and goes out. He has drunk more than he ought.
Maybe.
Helma takes out
Torvald?
keys.
Torvald, what are you going to do there?
Emptying the letterbox. It is quite full. There will be no room to put the newspaper in tomorrow morning.
Are you going to work tonight?
You know quite well I'm not. What is this? Someone has been at the lock.
At the lock?
Yes, someone has. What can it mean? I should never have thought the maid. Here's a broken hairpin. Nora, it is one of yours.
Then it must have been the children.
Then you must get them out of those ways. There, at last, I've got it open. Takes out the contents and calls to the kitchen. Helen, Helen, put out the light over the front door. Goes back and shuts into the door into the hall. Look at that. Look at what a heap of them there are. What on earth is that?
The letter. No, Torvald, no.
2 cards of ranks.
Of Dr. Rank's?
Dr. Rank. They were on the top. He must have put them in when he went out.
Is there anything written on them?
There's a black cross over the name. Look there. What an uncomfortable idea. It looks as if he were announcing his own death.
It is just what he is doing.
What? Do you know anything about it? Has he said anything to you?
Yes. He told me that when the cards came, it would be his leave taking from us. He means to shut himself up and die.
My poor old friend. Certainly, I knew we should not have him very long with us, but so soon. And so he hides himself away like a wounded animal.
If it has to happen, it is best it should be without a word. Don't you think so, Torvald?
He had so grown into our lives. I can't think of him as having gone out of them. He, with his sufferings and his loneliness, was like a cloudy background to our sunlit happiness. Well, perhaps it is best so, for him anyway. And perhaps for us too, Nora. We too are thrown quite upon each other now. My darling wife, I don't feel as if I could hold you tight enough. Do you know, Nora, I have often wished that you might be threatened by some great danger, so that I might risk my life's blood and everything for your sake.
Now you must read your letters, Torvald.
No, not tonight. I want to be with you, my darling wife.
With the thought of your friend's death.
You are right. It has affected us both. Something ugly has come between us, the thought of the horrors of death. We must try and rid our minds of that. Until then, we will each go to our own room.
Good night, Torvald. Good night.
Good night, my little singing bird. Sleep sound, Nora. Now I will read my letters through. He takes his letters and goes into his room, shutting the door after him.
Never to see him again. Never, never. Never to see my children again either. Never again, never, never. Ah, the icy black water, the unfathomable depths. If it only were over. He has got it now. He is now reading it. Goodbye, Torvald, and my children.
He is about to rush through the hall, when Helma opens his door and stands with an open letter. Nora!
Ah!
What is this? Do you know what is in this letter?
Yes, I know. Let me go. Let me get out.
Where are you going?
Don't save me, Torvald.
True. Is this true that I read here? Horrible. No. It is impossible that it can be true.
It's true. I have loved you above everything else in the world.
Oh, don't let us have any silly excuses.
Torvald.
Miserable creature, what have you done?
Let me go. You shall not suffer for my sake. You shall not take it upon yourself.
No tragic airs, please. Here you should stay and give me an explanation. Do you understand what you have done? Answer me. Do you understand what you have done?
Yes. Now I'm beginning to understand thoroughly.
What a horrible awakening. All these 8 years, she who was my joy and pride, a hypocrite, a liar, worse, a criminal, the unutterable ugliness of it all. For shame, for shame. I ought to have suspected something of the sort would happen. I ought to have foreseen it. All your father's want of principle, be silent. All your father's want of principle has come out in you. No religion, no morality, no sense of duty. How I am punished for having winked at what he did. I did it for your sake, and this is how you repay me?
Yes, that's just it.
Now you have destroyed all my happiness. You have ruined all my future. It is horrible to think of. I am in the power of an unscrupulous man. He can do what he likes with me, ask anything he likes of me, give me any orders he pleases. I dare not refuse. And I must sink to such miserable depths because of a thoughtless woman.
When I'm out of the way, you will be free.
No fine speeches, please. Your father had always plenty of those ready too. What good would it be to me if you were out of the way, as you say? Not the slightest. He can make the affair known everywhere. And if he does, I may be falsely suspected of having been a party to your criminal action. Very likely, people will think I was behind it all, that it was I who prompted you. And I have to thank you for all this. You, whom I have cherished during the whole of our married life. Do you understand now what it has done for me?
Yes.
It is so incredible that I can't take it in. But we must come to some understanding. Take off that shawl. Take it off, I tell you. I must try and appease him some way or another. The matter must be hushed up at any cost. And as for you and me, it must appear as if everything between us were just as before, but naturally, only in the eyes of the world. You will still remain in my house, that is a matter of course, but I shall not allow you to bring up the children. I dare not trust them to you. To think that I should be obliged to say so to one whom I am loved so dearly and whom I still... No, that is all over. From this moment, happiness is not the question. All that concerns us is to save the remains, the fragments, the appearance. A ring is heard at the bell. What is that? So late. Can the worst? Can he? Hide yourself, Nora. Say you are ill. Maid. A letter for the mistress. Give it to me. Yes, it is from him. You shall not have it. I will read it myself.
Yes, read it.
I scarcely have the courage to do it. It may mean ruin for both of us. No, I must know. Opens the letter, runs his eye over a few lines, looks at a paper enclosed, and gives a shout of joy. Nora! Nora! No, I must read it once again. Yes, it is true. I am saved. Nora, I am saved.
And I?
You too, of course. We are both saved, both you and I. Look, he sends you your bond back. He says he regrets and repents that a happy change in his life. Never mind what he says. We are saved, Nora. No one can do anything to you. Oh, Nora, Nora. Now, first I must destroy these hateful things. Let me see. No, I won't look at it. The whole thing shall be nothing but a bad dream for me. Tears up the bond and letters, throws them into the stove. There. Now it doesn't exist any longer. He says that since Christmas Eve, these must have been 3 dreadful days for you, Nora.
I fought a hard fight these 3 days.
And suffered agonies and seen no way out, but no, we won't call any of the horrors to mind. We will only shout with joy and keep saying, it's all over, it's all over. Listen to me, Nora. You don't seem to realize that it is all over. What is this? Such a cold, set face. My poor little Nora, I quite understand. You don't feel as if you could believe that I have forgiven you. But it is true, Nora. I swear it. I have forgiven you everything. I know that what you did out of love for me.
That is true.
You have loved me as a wife ought to love her husband. Only you had not sufficient knowledge to judge of the means you used. But do you suppose you are any the less dear to me because you don't understand how to act on your own responsibility? No, only lean on me. I will advise you and direct you. I should not be a man if this womanly helplessness did not give you a double attractiveness in my eye. You must not think any more about the hard things I said in my first moment of consternation, when I thought everything was going to overwhelm me. I have forgiven you, Nora. I swear to you, I have forgiven you.
Thank you for your forgiveness.
Goes out through the door. No, don't go. What are you doing in there?
Taking off my fancy dress.
Yes, do. Try and calm yourself and make your mind easy again, my frightened little singing bird. Be at rest and feel secure. I have broad wings to shelter you under. How warm and cozy our home is, Nora. Here is shelter for you. Here I will protect you like a hunted dove that I have saved from a hawk's claws. I will bring peace to your poor beating heart. It will come little by little, Nora, believe me. Tomorrow morning, you will look upon it as quite differently. Soon, everything will be just as it was before. Very soon, you won't need me to assure you that I have forgiven you. You will yourself feel the certainty that I have done so. Can you suppose I should ever think of such a thing as repudiating you, or even reproaching you? You have no idea what a true man's heart is like, Nora. There is something so indescribably sweet and satisfying to a man in the knowledge that he has forgiven his wife, forgiven her freely and with all his heart. It seems as if that had made her, as it were, doubly his own. He has given her a new life, so to speak, and she has, in a way, become both wife and child to him. So you shall be for me after this, my little scared, helpless thing. I have no anxiety about anything, Nora. Only be frank and open with me. and I will serve as will and conscience both to you. What is this? Not gone to bed? Have you changed your things?
Yes, Torvald. I've changed things, my things now.
But what for? So late is this.
I shall not sleep tonight.
But my dear Nora,
It is not very late. Sit down here, Torvald. You and I have much to say to one another.
Nora, what is this? This cold, set face.
Sit down. It will take some time. I have a lot to talk over with you.
You alarm me, Nora, and I don't understand you.
No, that is just it. You don't understand me, and I have never understood you either before tonight. No, you mustn't interrupt me. You must simply listen to what I say, Torvald. This is a settling of accounts.
What do you mean by that?
Isn't there one thing that strikes you as strange in us sitting here like this?
What is that?
We've been married 8 years now. Does it not occur to you that this is the first time we two, you and I, husband and wife, have had a serious conversation?
What do you mean by serious?
In all these 8 years, longer than that, from the very beginning of our acquaintance, we have never exchanged a word on any serious subject.
Was it likely that I would be continually and forever telling you about worries that you could not help me to bear?
I'm not speaking about business matters. I have never sat down in earnest together to try and get at the bottom of anything.
But dearest Nora, would it have been any good to you?
That's just it. You have never understood me. I have been greatly wronged, Torvald, first by Papa and then by you.
What? By us two? By us two who have loved you better than anyone else in the world?
You have never loved me. You have only thought it pleasant to be in love with me.
Nora, what do I hear you saying?
It is perfectly true, Torvald. When I was at home with Papa, he told me his opinion about everything. And so I had the same opinions. And if I differed from him, I concealed the fact because he would not have liked it. He called me his doll child and he played with me just as I used to play with my dolls. And when I come to live with you,
What sort of expression is that to use about our marriage?
I mean that I was simply transferred from Papa's hands into yours. You arranged everything according to your own taste, and so I got the same taste as yours, else I pretended to. I'm really not quite sure which. I sometimes think the one and sometimes think the other. When I look back on it, it seems to me as if I had been living here like a poor woman, just from hand to mouth. I've existed merely to perform tricks for you, Torvald. But you would have it so. You and Papa have committed a great sin against me. It was your fault that I have made nothing with my life.
How unreasonable and how ungrateful you are, Nora. Have you not been happy here?
No, I have never been happy. I thought I was, but it never really has been so.
Not happy.
No, only merry. And you have always been so kind to me, but our home has been nothing but a playroom. I've been your doll wife, just as at home I was Papa's doll child. And here the children have been my dolls. I thought it was great fun when you played with me, just as they thought it was great fun when I played with them. That is what our marriage has been, Torvald.
There is some truth in what you say, exaggerated and strained as your view of it is. But for the future, it shall be different. Playtime shall be over, and lesson time shall begin.
Whose lessons? Mine or the children?
Both yours and the children's, my darling Nora.
Alas, Torvald, you're not the man to educate me into being a proper wife for you.
And you can say that?
And I? How am I fitted to bring up the children?
Nora,
Didn't you say yourself a little while ago that you dare not trust me to bring them up?
In a moment of anger, why do you pay any heed to that?
Indeed, you're perfectly right. I'm not fit for the task. There is another task I must undertake first. I must try and educate myself. You are not the man to help me in that. I must do that for myself. And that is why I'm going to leave you now.
What do you say?
I must stand quite alone if I am to understand myself and everything about me. It is for that reason that I cannot remain with you any longer.
Nora.
I'm going away from here now at once. I'm sure Christine will take me in for the night.
You are out of your mind. I won't allow it. I forbid you.
It is no use forbidding me anything no longer. I will take with me what belongs to myself. I will take nothing from you, either now or later.
What sort of madness is this?
Tomorrow I shall go home. I mean to my old home. It will be the easiest for me to find something to do there.
You blind, foolish woman.
I must try and get some sense, Torvald.
To desert your home, your husband, and your children, and you don't consider what people will say.
I cannot consider that all. I only know that it is necessary for me.
It's shocking. This is how you would neglect your most sacred duties.
What do you consider my most sacred duties?
Do I need to tell you that? Are they not your duties to your husband and your child and your children?
I have other duties just as sacred.
That you have not. What duties could those be?
Duties to myself.
Before all else, you are a wife and a mother.
I don't believe that any longer. I believe that before all else, I am a reasonable human being, just as you are, or at all events, that I must try and become one. I know quite well, Torvald, that most people would think you right, and that views of that kind are to be found in books. But I can no longer content myself with what most people say or with what is found in books. I must think things for myself and get to understand them.
Can you not understand your place in your own home? Have you not a reliable guide in such matters as that? Have you no religion?
I'm afraid, Torvald, I do not exactly know what religion is.
What are you saying?
I know nothing but what the clergyman said when I went to be confirmed. He told us that religion was this and that and the other. When I'm away from all this and I'm alone, I will look into the matter too. I will see if what the clergyman said is true, or at all events, if it is true for me.
This is unheard of in a girl of your age. But if religion cannot lead you aright, let me try and awaken your conscience. I suppose you have some moral sense. Or answer me, am I to think you have none?
I assure you, Torvald, that is not an easy question to answer. I really don't know. The thing perplexes me altogether. If I only knew that you and I look at it in quite a different light. I'm learning too that the law is quite another thing from what I supposed. But I find it impossible to convince myself that the law is right. According to it, a woman has no right to spare her old dying father or to save her husband's life. I can't believe that.
You talk like a child. You don't understand the conditions of the world in which you live.
No, I don't. But now I'm going to try. I'm going to see if I can make out who is right, the world or I.
You are ill, Nora. You are delirious. I almost think you're out of your mind.
I have never felt my mind so clear and certain as tonight.
And is it with a clear and certain mind that you forsake your husband and your children?
Yes, it is.
Then there's only one possible explanation.
What is that?
You do not love me anymore.
No, that is just it.
Nora, and you can say that.
It gives me great pain, Torvald, For you have always been so kind to me, but I cannot help it. I do not love you anymore.
Is that a clear and certain conviction too?
Yes, absolutely clear and certain. That is the reason why I will not stay here any longer.
And can you tell me what I have done to forfeit your love?
Yes, indeed I can. It was tonight when the wonderful thing did not happen, when I saw you were not the man I had thought you were.
Explain yourself better. I don't understand you.
I have waited so patiently for 8 years. For goodness knows, I knew very well that wonderful things don't happen every day. Then this horrible misfortune came upon me, and then I was quite certain that the wonderful thing was going to happen at last. When Krogstad's letter was lying out there, never for a moment did I imagine that you would consent to accept this man's condition. I was so absolutely certain that you would say to him, publish the thing to the whole world. And when that was done,
Yes, what then? When I had exposed my wife to shame and disgrace.
when that was done, I was so absolutely certain you would come forward and take everything upon yourself and say, I am the guilty one.
Nora,
You mean that I would never have accepted such a sacrifice on your part? No, of course not. But what would my assurances have been worth against yours? That was the wonderful thing which I hoped for and feared. And it was to prevent that I wanted to kill myself.
I would gladly work night and day for you, Nora, bear sorrow and want for your sake. But no man would sacrifice his honor for the one he loves.
It is a thing hundreds of thousands of women have done.
Oh, you think and talk like a heedless child.
Maybe. But you neither think nor talk like the man I could bind myself to. As soon as your fear was over, and it was not fear for what threatened me, but for what might happen to you when the whole thing was past. As far as you were concerned, it was exactly as if nothing at all had happened. Exactly as before. I was your little skylark, your little doll, which you would in future treat with doubly gentle care because it was so brittle and fragile. Torvald, it was then it dawned upon me that for 8 years I have been living here with a strange man and had borne him 3 children. Oh, I can't bear to think of it. I could tear myself into little bits.
I see. An abyss has opened between us. There is no denying it. But Nora, would it not be possible to fill it up?
As I am now, I'm no wife for you.
I have it in me to become a different man.
Perhaps, if your doll is taken away from you.
But to part from you. No, Nora, I can't understand that idea.
That makes it all the more certain that it must be done.
Comes back with cloak and hat and a small bag. Nora, not now. Wait until tomorrow.
I cannot spend the night in a strange man's room.
But can't we live here like brother and sister?
You know very well that would not last long. Goodbye, Torvald. I won't see the little ones. I know they are in better hands than mine. As I am now, I can be of no use to them.
But someday, Nora, someday.
How can I tell? I have no idea what is going to become of me.
But you are my wife, whatever becomes of you.
Listen, Torvald, I have heard that when a wife deserts her husband's house, as I'm doing now, he is legally freed from all obligations towards her. In any case, I set you free from all our obligations. You are not to feel yourself bound in the slightest way, any more than I shall. There must be perfect freedom on both sides. See, here's your ring back. Give me mine.
That too.
That too.
Here it is.
That's right. Now it is all over. I have put the keys here. The maids know all about everything in the house, better than I do. Tomorrow, after I have left her, Christine will come here and pack up my own things that I've brought with me from home. I shall have them sent after me.
All over, all over. Nora, shall you never think of me again?
I know I shall often think of you, the children, and this house.
May I write to you, Nora?
No, never. You must not do that.
But at least let me send you.
Nothing, nothing.
Let me help you if you're in want.
No, I can receive nothing from a stranger.
Nora, can I never be anything more than a stranger to you?
Torvald, the most wonderful thing of all would have to happen.
Tell me what that would be.
Both you and I would have had to both you and I would have to be so changed that, oh, Torvald, I don't believe any longer in wonderful things happening.
But I will believe it. Tell me, so changed that
our life together would be a real wedlock. Goodbye.
sinks down in a chair. Nora, Nora, empty. She is gone. The most wonderful thing of all,